With that, that brings us to our closing. So thanks to those of you who've stuck with us. I know Zoom conferences aren't nearly as fun as ones where you actually get to, you know, go get a donut that, or a cup of coffee and, actually spend time with people and see people. But I think for the second year in a row, we've succeeded in putting on what I think has been a very good event. We've covered a lot of different facets of the, what I would call the identity conundrum, from looking at the massive fraud issues that we've seen and how we, can address them in both the public and private sector, looking at the questions of inclusion and equity, and how to make sure that as we're building systems to stop fraud and cybercrime, we don't leave people behind. Today, great discussions in the morning around authentication and the role that things like the FIDO standards is going to play going forward for the country. And really great discussions this afternoon, I think both with our panel and then with, several rounds of speakers around next generation identity proofing and what we need to be thinking about there in terms of better standards, better testing and certification programs, ways to make sure that, as we're using artificial intelligence and machine learning, that we don't introduce bias into, these systems. And, as I can't think of a better way, to end this as well, than as we had Assistant Secretary Rosenberg say, let's make 2022 a year of action on digital ID. So on behalf of Better Identity Coalition, FIDO Alliance, the ID Theft Resource Center, we look forward to working with all of you in industry and government on making this that year of action. By the way, thanks once again to our producer, Dustin Loop. It's not easy to pull off an event like this in real time. None of this was taped. I do a lot of conferences where everything's recorded and cleaned up and made real nice, and then you're just, watching something that's, a previous recording. This was all live and a little unfiltered, but I think it made it a lot more interesting and time spontaneous in terms of the discussions we could have because of that. So thanks again to all of you for the time you spent with us. And we'll look forward to working and partnering with all of you again in the year ahead. 2022 is the action year of action for identity. Thank you, everybody.